Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Father's Day, June 20th, 2021. Welcome to Where Are You At? Outside In Theater Company's community chat room. This is our loosey-goosey kind of conversationalist, talking and just sharing our thoughts and our ideas and our feelings as to where we're at individually. And joining me today is my love, Daniel Blinkoff. But
Happy Father's Day!
Happy Father's Day! As well as Jessica Hanna, Allison De La Cruz. We're missing our ubiquitous Paul Hungerford, who's usually the host chat today, but also Matthew Pittner. And we are being moderated and controlled technically by the brilliant tech director of Outside In Theater Companies, Arlo Sanders. And we are so happy that you're all here. Where You At's goal is to discuss and connect to the communities we all want to represent and be in community with. Community. To discuss the artists who we love, who will be creating with us, for us, and with that community. And today we have a very special guest whom I'm sorry?
I'm just getting excited.
I know we're getting all excited,
but
we'd like to put into practice something that we'd like to share with you. It is called the Digital Land Acknowledgement, and it is brand new. So we're going to try it today because this is something that we're all trying to be in community with. And this was created by Adrienne Wong of the Spiderweb Show in Ontario, Canada, our sister country up to the north. The Digital Land Acknowledgement says, since we are gathered here today in virtual space, let's all take a moment to consider the legacies of colonization embedded within the technologies, the structures, and the ways of thinking we use every day. We use equipment and high-speed internet not available in many Indigenous communities. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art that we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide. We invite you to join me in acknowledging all this, as well as our shared responsibilities to acknowledge that the seven of us live and take space on unceded Tongva and Chumash lands. And to make good use of our time, we need to consider that each of us have our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, anti-racism, allyship. So thank you for that time in land acknowledgement through the digital and virtual space. So thank you so very much, everybody. Today we have a guest. She's all into that. She's always been into that, about righting wrongs, about creating art that speaks and expresses where she comes from. She is Rose Portillo, an accomplished theater, writer, director, and visual artist and educator, a 40-year plus veterana of stage and screen, large and small. I think Allison De La Cruz was writing this, and I hope it doesn't make Rose cry because she is a woman who's much credited, so it would take the whole hour to speak about her accomplishments. She's a community leader, an art maker of altars and mosaics called Rosaics of broken tiles and found objects. She is an innovator, initiator, an intuit, a maverick who is dedicated to breaking new ground and smashing stereotypes. And again, this is Rose Portillo, and we'll be right back to chat with this wonderful guest of ours, our master artist of Outside In Theater. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, we are back with the fabulous Rose Portillo and her baby, Courage, a cockatiel, who is going to conversate with us as well, I understand. But Rose, no, because that's life. This is life.
Yes.
This is life in this space.
Well, Tamlin, you took my line. I like to say that I enter with courage on my shoulder.
You just brought. I spilled the beans. But what else? Yeah, Courage is a she.
Oh, definitely.
That's why she's laying eggs.
For 5 years, I thought I lived with a male, but all of a sudden there were 4 eggs at the bottom of the cage. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Well, welcome, Courage. Welcome
Mama
and
Courage. It
and
is
having
Mama
her.
Courage.
Mama Courage and Mama Courage. Well, the show where you're at really is a really loose conversation, and so we like to begin with Rose Portillo. Where are you at here on June 20th, 2021 in Los Angeles, California, United States of America?
I am actually at
Mhm.
and in
Mhm.
the house I first came home to as a little baby, born at St. Vincent's Hospital, thank God, and then brought to this house. With my grandparents and my parents every weekend with my great grandmother and my great uncle and aunt. And I came back about 30 years ago. I took care of almost all of them, and then they passed on. And here was this house that had just too much memory and it's called me. It has called me. So I'm back. It looked nothing like this when I lived here as a child. Everything was one color, and there were carpet and French provincial lamps, things like that. So I know my grandmother took a few turns in her grave as I began this process. So I'm in Silver Lake. I don't know if I mentioned that. So Silver Lake, and my connective tissue goes through Lincoln Heights, Boyle Heights, Montecito Heights, which is part of Highland Park itself, Chavez Ravine, which then became the Music Center, Dodger Stadium. Grew up as a Dodger girl. Let's see, is my hat there? Yeah.
Yes, I was saying turn your helmet so we could see that LA. Yeah, but no. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I can see it. So
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm very a part of this place.
Yes.
Part
Yes.
of this place.
So I can assume, or we can assume, that your family has been a Los Angelino
So
foundation for 4 or 5 generations?
no, my other ancestral roots. I am Tiwa from Isleta del Sur, which is now incorporated into El Paso, Texas. So, like the Tongva, although we eventually did get recognition in '68, I believe, and then, unfortunately, this lovely small town became barrio because that's how the city treated it. So, So I am Tiwa from Isleta del Sur, and so are my grandfathers, both of my grandfathers, and so therefore my mother, so this is the, well, this is so much fun, isn't it? Are you bored yet?
No.
It's fun.
No.
My father's family came here.
Your father's family came here.
So this house from Lincoln Heights, they moved here.
Mm-hmm.
His mother was from Mazatlan, and she remained with green card all her life. I found she tried to become a citizen, and it just freaked her out too much. So she kept going. That's all right.
Putting it off.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But so because of the motion picture industry, that's why my grandfather came out, and he became a scenic painter for Columbia and Paramount, and then later ran the ranch. I think for Paramount. I can't remember which of the two. And so then everybody started coming to Los Angeles.
Coming west. Okay. Oh, wow.
My mother was thrilled to bits to marry somebody from LA. She was done with the small town. And they were a blind date when she came at 13. And then for 7 years, they wrote letters and saw each other in the summer. And then they finally got married. Yeah, and Alejandro Escovedo wrote a beautiful song about that.
Oh, what a love! Thank you for sharing that family history. It's literally the Californias from the Southwest region of our states. Not to invisibilize the border, but exactly, it's that whole region of what we call North America. Yeah,
correct. And for us, very specifically, the border just moved. We were there, and the border, this is who you are, dictating who we were. and are. So.
Well, I just want to say that before in the green room that we were all saying that on Twitter, Rose Portillo's house would receive a 10 out of 10 on Room Rater because the perspective, the light, the art, the colors, plural, the plants, and the courage, popping in and out would just rate us the interest that. So I'm going to just say Room Rater, just acknowledge Rose Portillo with a 10 out of 10 already. You don't know what you're missing. I just want to check in with our other outside in theater company members. Anybody want to take a hit at it today? Father's Day, I believe we acknowledged Juneteenth yesterday, Flag Day. I just want to pop in the personal. Karate Kid 2 was released today, 35 years ago, but there's all sorts of things that we want to check in with each one of our members. So anyone from outside in theater want to pop in and say, where are you at?
Wait. Are you telling us that today is the day 35 years ago that Karate Kid 2 premiered on screen and we all got to see you?
Yes, but okay. We just have to say that's because I saw that popping up on oh my God, I have to turn this thing off. But this is all about Rose and outside in theater. So where are you at? Allison, Jess, Matt, Daniel?
I'll pop in.
Come on, guys.
So I'll do a personal check-in. I'll do a where you at. So lately, as things we're localized in California area, Los Angeles area, things have been opening up since the 15th, and I've been thinking a lot about immediacy and how everything's speeding up again, everything's getting fast again, and even before things were opening up, it's like, all right, let's get back to it. And really trying to pump the brakes and build in certain things where I just take time and not everything's this immediate emergency reaction. So lately in the mornings, I've been just trying to go for at least a 10, 20-minute walk. Even though I got things to do and I normally wake up and I'm like, okay, I got to get to this. I got to get it done because I have this anxiety. I've been just trying to let that work into my muscles and my patterns and my habits to just try to take my time. And with that has come a permission to do little bits of things. So I have this thing where okay, I want to do this thing for a family member or a friend or whatever. And it gets to be this big blown up thing that I never end up doing. So I come from a large family, so it's hard for me to get through calling everybody and talking to everybody. So sometimes I just don't do it. So I've been all right, I'm thinking about my dad. And this was just this last week. I was thinking about my dad. I just wanted to connect with him. So I was just I'm just going to text him right now. I'm just going to say, I love you. I don't even need to call him. I'm just on this little walk. So I just texted my dad, I love you. I just kept walking and just kind of breathing. And then I'm getting close to home. So I'm I'll check see if he texts back. And then I get a text from my dad that just said, the feeling's mutual.
Oh my God.
So, Dad, I don't know if you figured out how to get on the computer to watch this, but happy Father's Day. I love you. The feeling is mutual. So that's where I've been at lately.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Allison, Jess, Daniel, how you guys doing? Where you at?
I want to just raise up what Matt just said. I also about immediacy and urgency as things open up. I was able to just come back from I did a quick road trip from LA to Santa Fe to check in on my mom, who has moved to Santa Fe at the end of this pandemic, and just to a little check in and say hello. And they're doing great. It was great to see old friends there. But the drive from here to Santa Fe, as I said earlier, yes, hybrid. Always, never going back to the before. Wow, what a difference! But also just being able to have a moment of open space and being reminded about what so much of the beauty of this country is that we have open space, and also being reminded in traveling of the different experiences that we all have in this United States. Because everybody, I think as I go outside of California for the first time in a year and a half, is really realizing the experience that I had was very much about what was happening here in California, knowing other things and reading and stuff like that. But I really think we're going to have a lot of conversation in the processing of this, and hopefully, again, letting go of immediacy and being able to take the time to process what has happened, what is still happening, and that the individual experiences that we have to find ways to share with each other, and that has a lot to do with where geographically we experience this, which I knew logically, but then it's actually in the actual experiencing of going outside, I'm realizing more and more, it's just, how are we going to be able to share with each other and lift up and support each other in the very different experiences of this event that we have all had.
Yeah.
That's been one of the things I was thinking about in those open spaces. I was floating on my hybrid through the country.
Yeah, it's the ability to stretch out your thoughts as you're, accruing miles on that hybrid that is not leaving as big a carbon footprint as, the regular traditional. So good for you. Good for you. All right.
How much money were we making on the hybrid sales? I feel like we've been selling that the whole time.
You want to say what your hybrid car is, Jess?
I got a Ford Fusion.
Yes, so there you go. American made too, so yay for that. Yes.
Yeah. Frankie the Ford Fusion, thank you very much.
Frankie.
Yeah.
Daniel or Allison, where are you at?
I can go next. Hi, everybody. I'm Allison. I also go by Dela. I am on the unceded lands of the Chumash and the Tongva, I'm in the city of Carson, is what is now known as the city of Carson, which is very close to Long Beach and a sacred site for Tongva folks. And I also happen to live in the shadow of a refinery, so I think about that all the time. I actually saw something yesterday about climate justice and things like that. I have a lot of thoughts on the reopen. I think what I'm really excited about is that Outside In has moved to YouTube. I'm excited for us to try to have a more accessible platform. I know we were joking about Matt's dad, but I seriously think about elders and folks who don't have access to technology, and just how do we share what we're sharing, and as we all continue to figure out how we want to come back into space with each other. One thing I'm super excited about for Outside In is just how can we continue to be allies and advocates and accomplices for creating accessible pathways to stories and theater and art. And so I've been thinking about that a lot. And I've just been thinking about what brings people joy, and how do we help as folks deal with a lot of different pieces of what happened in this last year and a half. How do we cultivate joy? And so I think I'm holding that, and then just holding space for all the fathers and the dads and the daddies and all the things, and just really appreciative that I get to be here today with all my little LA hats in the back as well. And it is also, as you were saying, Tamlin, Juneteenth and Flag Day. I also, June's a big Pride month, and I've just been thinking just what a different time it is, but also just different time for me as a queer identified person. But I think about people all over the world who still might not be able to live their full life, to live their full truth. And I just send a lot of love for that. So, that's where I'm at right now. And I'm super, super excited to welcome Rose to the Outside In team, and for us to have this convo today. And Rose's house is amazing.
I know. That brings everybody joy. That's the ultimate. Let's have, you want joy? Go to Rose Portillo's house. Virtually, don't knock on your door, just virtually, and you'll say, "Oh my God, this big so much joy."
There is a strange a fence. There's a unique fencing that I'm on a triangular lot So I'm happy to say when we first moved back into the house, we put the fence up, and Roger was like, "Oh, we need to work on other things first." I said, "No. The neighbors need to know who's moving in, and I want to give them time to get used to this." So the fence kind of inflates the hills, and there were flames on the gates, which are now falling off, but that's okay. And it kind of worked. So it became an easy way for people to a landmark, so that people could find their friends could find them.
Yeah.
Just the house with the crazy fence.
Yeah, just go around. Yeah, it's the marker. It's the marker. Oh my God!
Just really wanted to just throw in the comment of Sharon Bridgeforth is a wonderful political artist, and she says joy is a radical revolutionary act. So I have often kind of gone like, oh, I have no business being joyful, or that's a low priority. It was always a low. And once she said that, I went, yes, absolutely. Let's scare everybody by letting them see how happy we are.
Yeah.
Happy that joy that actually can be transformative.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so with you, Rose. I'm gonna do a quick check-in to my dad and my stepfather. Happy Father's Day. I love you guys, and to every father I've had in my life. Thank you for sharing your hearts and your passion and helping me find my path. And touching on, Rose, what you just said, the joy is actually something I wanted to check in on with everybody, because there's I find an interesting dichotomy to the times. There's a recognition of all of the sins, in a way, not being true to ourselves that we've done as a culture within the world. And the other side of that coin is the joy of where we are and the steps that we take. And I was wondering, Rose, because you were part of the original Zoot Suit, and I really wanted, as an artist, to check in with you and to hear what your thoughts were. As you were on the stage at the Taper. This was something that had never been on the stage. This kind of story was never told on the stage, and you were there at opening night. And having done the work as an actor, but really connected to your heritage and of who you are and your cultural story. What were your feelings that night as you walked out and said your first line, or how did it transform? What was the interaction with the theater and the people there? I'm curious as to, because you and Tam both have this experience of with Joy-Luck Club of representing stories that hadn't been told before, and yours was on film. And I'm interested in both of you guys.
Rose was on stage and film,
yes.
So and then she got to go
and
back.
Then film and then stage.
Yeah, so it's a whole big story right there. I mean, I guess that's our big entry point to knowing what, how that mark in your life affected you and how you tell stories.
How was that seed planted? Whatever that journey was.
It's a big question.
It is. Let's start with a big question.
It's a huge question. It's and there are many chapters to it.
Yes.
So I knew where my entry point was, but entry points are wherever they are. So I would say, in terms of the link to my connection with you and the work I want to do here, is that story can be transformative.
Yeah.
And that the story itself, sharing story itself, whatever it is, and how we connect to our personal story and then see the effect it has outside of ourselves once we speak it, is an amazing experience that I want everyone to have, whether it's small or large, because transformation is transformation. So so there's that. I think that my interest in theater was because my father took me to it. And even though what we saw had nothing to do with me, it did on a human level. I connected very, just did. And it allowed my father and I, not the easiest relationship, to have conversations about, if we spoke on a topic, we would argue. But if we saw a piece of theater, we could talk about the characters and what happened. That's a very different thing. And that created vulnerability and room for change and transformation, and to have a new idea that could be acknowledged. Okay, so that's what sort of captured me initially, and why I decided this was what I was going to do with my life. So I had seen Teatro Campesino, and that was the first time I went, oh, I didn't realize what was missing in my life. I didn't realize I never saw myself on stage. I didn't realize there was something other than a European model. I didn't know that. And it hit so deeply that I was just awash. And my boyfriend, who became my first husband, was next to me going, what the hell's going on? He had no idea what was happening. So, New York, or white New York, Upper East Side. So, so there was that. So I go on, and the minute I graduate and step into the business world, I am awash with racism and sexism, just like, nobody told me about that. Everybody said you can do anything. So
you got to build the muscles.
I paid $35 to learn how to have an accent, in order to work. And then then I caught some good jobs. I did a 2-hour police story that was a marker. It was a marker. And then this opportunity, I'm just out of school 2 years, and this opportunity comes up to audition for God. Luis Valdez is at the taper. Oh my God. So so there was just that. And then I got the part, and I had to say no to something else, which my agent went, well, movie stage. Like Luis Valdez, Casino, Dream, a movie. Oh, sorry. Anyway,
It'll drop. Yep.
So there was that. Now then, my aesthetic of ensemble theater and the joy of not just being told what to do, and not just doing what you're told to do, but actually being asked what you think, and improvising and contributing and all of that stuff. That this was a new play. It was a new play, and so Luis had his own tradition of working with the company, and so it was a moment creatively of everything I had hoped for. In that sense, my voice was heard. There were moments that we improvised and then became part of the script. There were challenges of I don't think so. Okay, I'll try it, but I don't think so. But all in that really lovely way. So then was walking onto the stage. Now, two things. when the taper opened, my father, well, first my school took me to see a play, and then my father took me. And with my poor mother, I exclude my mother. But the reason I keep saying my father took me is that it was his idea. And my mom was just like, oh, okay, that never occurred to me. I will also say that the arts at that time, in my father's time and in my growing up time, was part of assimilation. It was valued as how you became a better person and how you improved your employment opportunity by being able to speak about the current art world. So that there was method to, it wasn't just appreciation, it was also a ploy. So anyway, I had a dream as a young high school student. I wanted to be center stage in Moonlight, and I wanted to enter from the Vom. I just thought that was there I was, entering from the Vom,
Right.
dancing on that stage,
Yeah.
and then my major speech in center stage Moonlight.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was easy to cry. It was easy to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that's really personal and really artistic personal.
Yeah.
Then there is, I've always known that are you bored yet?
No.
No, I'm talking to people listening because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going on. But then I've always wanted to connect. Theater, you feel your audience breathing.
Yes.
And there is, we'd had previews already, right? So I'm doing this in college. I did it in high school. I did it in grammar school. I wrote plays in grammar school, and recess was for rehearsal. Recess was not about playing ball. It was for rehearsal. So I am already like, I want to feel that audience.
Yes.
And that was overwhelming.
Yeah.
That was, now the other thing to understand, and my family of this house believed this, Pachucos were evil. Pachucos were bad. They were gangsters. They had knives. This was not an aspiration.
Yeah.
My father wanted to wear a zoot suit, and his mother tore it up. It was not what you wanted to be associated with. Those guys that went to jail were marked. When they came out, yeah, their families embraced them and they were happy, but not the community at large. No, they were marked, and they carried that mark with them. So they wouldn't talk about it. I think Smiley was the one that was just always there, but a lot of those guys and their families, it was effort to get them to the theater. A lot of the community is like, why are you praising that
Right.
you're making this thing? And now this is, of course, without seeing the play. Not knowing what it's doing with the play, what it's actually about. So, and then there were those that were just like, we can be on stage.
Yes.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We can sit in these seats. Really? I can be here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that, and so the best way I have to describe it is that for the most part, audience entered with their sombreros down, kind of looking around, going, all right, we're here. And at the end, it was everybody standing chest out, heads held high, and that feeling, that energy of, like you're saying, land acknowledgement, of personhood acknowledgement of I belong, and I deserve to be seen.
Yeah, in the fullness of the character, in the fullness of the particular culture, in the fullness of community, in the fullness of the family, the neighborhood, the idea that we're honored to have you due to the collaboration and the connectivity of Alison de la Cruz. We have Rose Portillo as our first master artist at Outside In Theater, and she and Alison and I will be a willing and able and happy and honored student to participate in what Rose is calling the multi-generational project that will highlight stories intergenerationally.
Good word.
Intergenerationally.
It sounds nice the way you say it.
With the residents of Highland Park, California. And I can hear, Rose, from your experience with only just the one single story of Zoot Suit, how it's already connecting for me, but for all of us through Outside In Theater, that you're the perfect person to incubate, to develop, to pull, to encourage the residents of Highland Park to tell those stories so they can see themselves, so they don't get invisibilized and just pushed under the rapid gentrification of this particular neighborhood, and to bring about, we're all here, we've been here, and we have our stories to tell, and we're a part of trying to form communities. So I just wanted to acknowledge that that's what Outside In Theater is here to bring about, this incredible, important, vocal, passionate, and funny artist to our family. So thank you, Rose. It's been such a joy. The idea that stage is a venue, and you pointed out really particular that you could feel the audience breathe. So you're exchanging our air, the energy cells, the electricity, and through film and through digital form, it might be a little different, but I feel from each and every one of us, and especially those who are going to be viewing this, that you're going to be able to feel Rose's energy. You're going to be able to feel all our energies as we move forward in this technology of storytelling. So is that something that you'd like to also venture into, Ms. Portillo?
Of course.
Okay.
Because that all of that increases accessibility, right? And when it's really felt in the room, that translates through these other mediums. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So, there's that thing about being in the room, but everybody can't be in the room. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's something that I've learned through even COVID, our era of COVID. Yeah. We can gather anyway. Our cars can break down, our families can be spread out, and we can still share our experience in our in-person world with those who are not in person with us. This is really okay. This is okay.
And this is the future.
It's opened up, and it just increases accessibility.
Yeah.
It really does. About getting the hardware to everybody, but that's a whole other issue.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that, Rose? Because I know, and I was at one point, I'm like taking notes, like recesses for rehearsal, like all these like really awesome quotes.
Allison's always working. Dayla's always doing it.
I'm like, okay, good. I wonder if you want to talk a little bit about, like how. Because I think when people think about this kind of story gathering, this story sharing, it often comes from a place of like, older, wiser elders are going to impart things. And one of the things I appreciate about our practices together and some of the work we've done, and part of what we're hoping in this project is, what is the opportunity? What is the place for young people, for teenagers who are growing up in Highland Park, who are experiencing? I talked with an artist friend of ours, Mark Valdez, on Friday, and he mentioned to me that there's nothing in nightlife for the young people in Highland Park, or there's very little. And so it's just got me thinking, like, what is it like to be a young person in this neighborhood, and how do they fit into this kind of idea? Are they there to just receive these stories? Like, if you could just talk a little bit about that.
So Allison and I have together done a lot of work with youth, primarily high school youth, artistic work, theater work with youth. I've also done visual art with youth. And I was a part of, for a couple of decades, about productions, and created a youth playwriting program for continuation high school youth. That Allison was a part of, and other people that I'll bring in, hopefully. So we have that experience at Pomona College. I'm working to work with college students to learn how to do original theater and story gathering with middle and high school students, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that one of the reasons I'm here is because in all those situations, we also worked with elders in all the situations, or veterans. So you don't have to be an old wise person, and you don't have to be a teenager. Everybody has story, mm-hmm. And there are times that we connect. So I'm not about, I can be. I think there are times where, I'll use the term affinity groups. There are times where, the Chicanos need to just have a discussion with Chicanos. And the elders just need to have a discussion with elders. And the middle schoolers just need to be off by themselves for a little bit, right? But then there are the times that we need to be together. Sorry, there's a dog that just went through the curtain and tore it down. Yes,
life happens.
Yes.
So that's what makes it wonderful. That's what makes it. It's like, oh, she does the same thing. She does the same thing. It's like, oh my God, she does the exact same thing. Yeah.
Well, I put up some netting to keep the flies out, right? But the dog is like, oh, there's a porch. There's a know about it. I must investigate.
Exactly.
So now I know what I have to do to fix that.
Oh my gosh.
Magnets. But what I have always enjoyed, when we come together thinking that otherizing each other,
yes.
it's very difficult not to. So we do that. Mm-hmm. And then we start to have a conversation and go, okay. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly we're working on a project, because the conversation isn't enough. Then you have to do something with it in order for the transformation to happen. You have to do something with it. And art is the best thing to do with it. And then suddenly everyone's focusing on shaping it and making it and getting their hands dirty and taking something on that you didn't. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. All right, maybe. So we find our way of connecting to the it, and then the I becomes a we.
Yes.
So from it to I to we, and when we close, and we have our conversation afterwards. So what was that like? And I'd say 90% of the folk will say, I never thought I could work with that person. I never imagined. A middle schooler will say, I never imagined working with someone in high school. I just thought they looked down on me. And the high school girl, I did look down on you. I don't anymore. Mm-hmm. I thought you guys were just old. Mm-hmm. But you actually listen. Mm-hmm. So that's what really excites me about just finding, so who lives here now? Who lives here now? Who's lived here forever? Mm-hmm. Who, let's just, we do start with talking, and then we figure out what the it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I want to leave it open for Jess and Matt and Daniel and Dela, because I'm just, I think all of us are just so engaged in what you have to say, in uncovering the possibilities and the layers. So I just want to open up. Otherwise, I'll just take over everybody.
Well, I'll just say I feel like this is a great time to say you should visit the Outside In Theater website at outsideintheater.org if you are a neighbor in Highland Park and you want to join us and learn more about what Rose is doing with us. If you're not in Highland Park, Los Angeles, but you are curious about what we're doing, want to help build with us, go visit our website, join our mailing list, learn how to be a part of this process. Because we are in the building process. And so, yeah, I appreciate, I'm like, let's just drop it. Like, yes. come and join us. Like, it's not just where are we at, but it really is an open invitation to community about where are you at and what are the histories that have already been shared. And we want to resource those things and hold up what's existing and then say, where are those gaps? What are those pieces? And yeah, how can transformation happen when we actually talk to each other, build with each other is what I heard you say, Rose. Yeah. I know that's a part of this process. So outsideintheatre.org is where you want to go. Join the newsletter, check out our About page. You can read all of our bios there. So I would just drop that.
And may I just piggyback, because Sunday, June 20th, 21 is the show Where You At, where you're watching right now with us today. But at 4:00 today is the second season debut of Trek Table with Alison De La Cruz and a quartet of Star Trek Discovery aficionados, experts, and super fans who discuss things all Trek Table. So come join us today at outsideintheater.org on YouTube. Trek Table is the show to watch at 4 p.m. discussing season 2 of Star Trek Discovery and all the glorious things about it. But also tonight at 7 p.m. is Pug Hour, Sunday night improv show that is host see again, we're at the beginning baby stages, but it is it's 7 persons who are improving stuff about things that make them happy and joyful. So this is our beginning program at outsideintheater.org. So catch us, subscribe to our letter, subscribe and like, as they say on YouTube. So I hope that you all join us. And this is archived, so you'll be able to tell your friends to say, hey, do you know about Outside In Theater and Rose Portillo are doing this cool thing that's not going to be in the physical space until January 2023, but we are building the kind of multi-generational stories that we love to present in the digital space as well as in our oncoming physical space. So I hope you come and join us. Matt, Paul, Daniel, it's like
Paul's not here.
I mean, I keep seeing our Paul Hungerford, one of our other co-artistic directors, pictures here. But Rose, do you have any questions for us? Because we want to make it sure it's circular. It's circular conversation and doing. Because we're doing it all together. We're doing it all together.
And that's what's exciting, because you already, by the invitation to me, it's like I've worked with Allison, I've worked with Jessica, I've worked with Tamlin, lightly, deeply with Allison, lightly with the other, but always with like, wow, that would be so great. And so that there's trust. So the other people that are new to me at the table, I already have trust in them. And so I'm very excited to, that's how it should be. There's always the new with the old, that it's always mingled in. So with that, I'm avoiding your question. I need to think about this, because it just feels fluid in terms of how we wind up asking each other questions and then riffing on the answer and getting to know each other's histories also, because we only know each other in certain ways. So there's always more to know. All of that is really exciting to me.
Can I ask you a question, Rose? Totally. Well, because I'm learning about the process of building story this way. Can you talk about like when you started, like where this process comes from for you and how you've been building? Because I know you've been teaching it, working with, creating, and where does that process in this kind of storytelling come from you for you?
kind of like this program right now. Where are you at?
Yeah.
So where are you at? What's been bubbling for you? You know, and then sharing that, and then coming back together, and like, so if we were to do something together, what might the theme be? What's the issue? Is there an issue? It doesn't have to be an issue. You know, we'll discover it as we go. You know, so it starts light, and then I would say that each project sort of evolves its own process.
Follows, yeah.
Too. That because I am old, I do have some tricks.
Not old.
Well, I'm aging. Let's put it that way. I can tell. But there are, so there might be processes, exercises, games, stuff that will become a language for us, just as there are for the improv group, right? There are things that you're comfortable with and that you play with a lot, but it takes you to different places each time. And then you learn other things because of who's in the room today, because whoever's in the room determines so much, you know, and it's never the same room. So even when you come back together, even if I join you next week, right, we've had a week's worth of life and living. So we're different. We're already different. So, and that's great. That's a great thing.
In your process or in this process, is it about because it sounds like it's almost like, I like at first I'm like, oh, it's uncovering, oh, it's like following the divining rod, it's
yes.
It sounds like it's also a lot of like, what are the questions we want to ask to, like, where in terms of leaving it open, so not necessarily leading the conversation, but creating a space or a container to hold it in of some sort. Is that?
Yes. Container is a great word, and also I live in the world of I don't know.
Yes, I love that world. It's one of my favorite.
Well, it's scary to a lot of people, and I have hit roadblocks at times where it's like, but what's it going to be, Rose? And we have a date. I go, yes, and we will get there. We will get there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I that's my favorite part of Shakespearean love.
Totally.
But he'll do something, and they will do something, and people will come, and they will like it.
Yes.
You know,
well,
and
it's back to trust, right? I mean, you're talking about trust, and it's also the trust in because I don't know involves trust. You know, that it's okay to I don't know is all right, and we're all going to be okay.
Yeah.
In I don't know land, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah, you have to trust that you actually do know something.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It will all work out.
Yeah.
Now I want a T-shirt that says "I don't know land."
Okay. I don't know land. Okay. I live in I don't know land. I live in I don't know. Okay. In I don't know land.
The land of I don't know.
The land of I don't know.
Will the back say trust? Like it has to say trust on the back.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So many T-shirts.
Yes. Yes. What I love about the building of this piece too, to me, is that it's kind of a mirror image of what I think the theater is. Because I think that we so often, and why I love the theater, we go to the theater because we want to observe in some way ourselves, besides just human behavior. We want to observe these stories. We want to observe these human choices that people are making on the stage in their given circumstances. And we see ourselves in them. And in a way, what you're doing with this creation, with this first piece, and I'm so excited that Outside In that is really committed to this process, is you're reversing it and you're trying to see who the audience is before you even start with the piece. It's like, who is our audience? Where are we? And I think just for me, that's so much what we're trying to do it outside in, and what theater is the thing about it that makes me in love with it is the process of acknowledging and seeing people. And that is still, it's something that we're all desperate for on so many different levels. And I so appreciate taking the steps that you're taking to see where we are and to see the people around us and to celebrate that. And that's just, to me, that's just theater reversed. And hopefully we'll continue that pivoting.
That's what makes your title, the language you landed on, working from the outside in, and then you have to go in order to step back out, and you have to go back outside, inside,
Is to grow the seeds and keep replanting, and it's I just wanted
Wait, I just want to take a second. Rose Portillo just rubber stamped our name. I just want to take that moment and just go, oh. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to acknowledge that. I want it on tape. That's fantastic. Yes, Rose Portillo. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because it's exactly what Rose was saying too. When her father brought her to the theater, and that act alone was able to elicit that kind of conversation between your father without talking about each other, because you were talking about the characters that you all saw and identified on the stage, telling the story that you were viewing, and that's the start of transformation. That's the initial impulse to see, things can be different, things can be better, things can be investigated, things can be embraced or cherished without embarrassment or shame. And I'm just so thrilled that Rose is on board with us. It really is a joy. Thank you, Dela, for making sure that Rose was our first master, to come aboard to and really start the conversation, but more importantly, do the doing. And again, for those of you who are watching today, who are watching at a later point, that Outside in Theater is .org. The Outside in Theater, THEATRE.org, is interested in your participation in Outside in Theater's master multi-generational project led by Rose Portillo and Outside in Theater. So it's been a real joy to have you, Rose. I believe we're nearing the end of our hour, but the story with Rose,
a tight ship.
I know.
Oh my God.
Unless you all want to keep,
Next time.
unless you all want to keep conversating, yes.
Matt has a question as a closer about Rose's house.
I'll go ahead, Matthew Pittner. Everybody, Matthew Pittner.
Thank you, Tim.
Yes.
So I want to ask a little behind the music sort of question. So your house, is all the rooms in your house like the room that we see that you're in?
Kind of. Every wall is a different color. I know that's a lot for people. My husband and I used to have a saying called white is for ceilings and not for long. So I'll show you a little bit.
Yes.
Yay!
Oh, I love that.
My God.
It's beautiful. As you're showing this Rose, so when did this start as an individual? Like, and I see it like in all of our little windows, we like to express ourselves and who we are, like by decorating things and putting little things out. When did the set designer, were you always a set designer? Like it's a transformation. You're in that space, you're being transformed.
My husband put in the wood here.
Oh my God.
So that, no, this is love. He said I was directing a play, and when I came back, this wood ceiling was in.
Holy moly!
And he said
It's gorgeous.
that you can hang things and put things on it too.
Oh.
So you'll see.
Oh my God, what a beloved space. Oh my God.
Oh, cool.
Ganesh. Come on, Radical Joy.
Yeah. It's that, and I am friends. I am very good friends with my first husband. It took some time, but it's possible. Again, it's possible. And when I knew we needed to get a divorce was when he said, we moved to a new apartment. And he said, I know I can't keep you from putting things on the walls, but can we please keep them white? Can you imagine me living by
No. Yeah, that's the end.
So,
Yeah, not for
so
long.
he has lovely white walls with some posters on it, and with a different man who is an artist also, and so that's great.
Thank you for giving us a tour of your house.
Thank you for the tour. I think that's a radical, joyful note to end on. Again, thank you so very much from the bottom of all our hearts of Outside In Theater's team. Rose Portillo, master artist of our multi-generational project, will premiere in the physical space at Outside In Theater at 5317 Gore Boulevard, Highland Park, California, in probably January 2023. Thank you, Matthew Pittner. Thank you, Paul Hungerford, who's not present. Thank you, Daniel Blinkoff. Thank you, Jessica Hanna. Thank you so very much, Allison De La Cruz, for bringing on master artist Rose Portillo. Hey, thank you, Arlo Sanders, our brilliant OBS operator and moderator today. And we hope that all of you can subscribe and like Outside In Theater's YouTube channel, and also go to our website, outsideintheater.org. Subscribe to our newsletter, and look out for Trek Table at 4 o'clock today, June 20th, 21, and for Hug Hour at 7 o'clock p.m. tonight, Sunday Night Improv.
And thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Bye.
And then, without music.
Yay.
Hot spikes. And hot hopes. That's all.
Outside In Theater.
Drop like a beat on fire, living half dead, so you might as well drop